Hi, kindergarten. I'm excited to read a story with you today. Here's our story. Do you see a sight word in the title? The title of this book is Sheila Ray the Brave. Did you watch yesterday's video where we got to practice reading the words from the story? At the end of the video, we'll practice these words one more time. Last time we read a story, we talked about the characters in the story. Do you remember what the word characters means? The people, the animals, and the creatures that talk in the story. Today, we're going to talk about the setting. Do you remember what the setting in a story is? The setting is where the story takes place and when, daytime or nighttime. While we read this story, think carefully. Who are the characters? What is the setting? Remember, there's two parts to the setting: where the story takes place and when. I can't wait to find out. Sheila Ray the Brave by Henkes. Sheila Ray wasn't afraid of anything. She wasn't afraid of the dark. She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning. I see some sight words on this page. And I see some words we can stretch out. And she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. At dinner, Sheila Ray made believe that the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of dead bears, and she ate 5 of them. At school, Sheila Ray giggled when the principal walked by. And when her classmate Wendell stole her jump rope during recess, Sheila Ray tied him up until the bell rang. "I am very brave," Sheila Ray said, patting herself on the back. Sheila Ray stepped on every crack in the sidewalk without fear. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in the closet, Sheila Ray attacked it. And she rode her bicycle no-handed with her eyes closed. "Yeah, yeah, Sheila Ray," her friends yelled, clapping their hands. One day, Sheila Ray decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid too. "You're too brave for me," Louise said. "You're always such a scaredy cat," Sheila Ray called. "Am not," whispered Louise. Remember, our questions for this story are: who are the characters and what is the setting? Sheila Ray started off skipping. "I am brave," she sang. "I am fearless." She stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs. Can you growl with me? And bared her teeth at stray cats. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She climbed up them and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Ray walked and walked. She turned corners. She crossed streets. whispered to Sheila Ray that nothing looked familiar. Uh-oh. Sheila Ray heard frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. I am brave, Sheila Ray tried to convince herself. I am fearless. The sounds became more frightening. The thoughts became more horrible. Sheila Ray sat down on a rock and cried. Help, she sniffed. She thought of her mother and her father and Louise. Mother, father, Louise, she cried. What's changing in the story? What's changing about Sheila Ray? Here I am, a voice said. I see a lot of words we can read on this page. Do you see any sight words? Do you see any words we can stretch out? Louise, Sheila Ray hugged her sister. We're lost, Sheila Ray said. No, we're not, said Louise. I know the way home. Follow me. Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Ray walked quietly behind her. Wait a minute, what's going on? What has changed about the characters? They walked and walked. They crossed streets. They turned corners. Soon their house could be seen between the trees. Sheila Ray grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. I see more sight words on this page. Can you read the words? When they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Ray said, Louise, you are brave. You are fearless. We both are, said Louise, and they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. The end. Wow, what a nice story. Let's think about our questions about who are the characters and what is the setting? Who are the characters in this story? You can say the characters are Yes, the most important characters are Sheila Ray and her little sister Louise, because those were the animals that talked in the story. Yes. Now, what about the setting? Where did the story take place and when? Let's start with the first part, where the story took place. Were they in the ocean? Were they in the mountains? Were they at a restaurant? Where did the story take place? You can say the story took place For a little bit of the story, Sheila Ray and her sister Louise were at home or at school, but mostly the story took place outside in their neighborhood and in the forest. Yeah. Now, what about the second part? When did the story take place? Daytime or nighttime? Let's look at some pictures to remember. You can say the story took place in the daytime or the story took place at nighttime. Yes, the story took place in the daytime. So we can say the setting is outside in a neighborhood and forest during the day. Can you draw a picture and write a sentence about this story, the characters, and the setting? Text me a picture. Let's practice the words from this story one more time. I'll mix them up. Are you ready? Go back and watch yesterday's video if you want more practice reading these words. I loved reading with you today, kindergarten.